Good afternoon, everybody. All right, I now call this June 2nd, 2026 City of Creedmoor Board of Commissioners meeting to order. First, we'll have our invocation by Commissioner Moss.
Let us pray. Dear Father, we come this evening thanking you for another day, thanking you for a reasonable portion of health and strength. We pray that as we go about doing the business of this city, that you would guide our minds and, more importantly, guide our hearts, that we might say and do those things that will be pleasing in thy sight. We pray for the sick in our community, Father, the ones that we know about and even the ones that we don't know about, asking that you would stop by and touch them with your finger of love and heal them if it's thy will. We pray for those who have lost loved ones. We pray that you would put your arms around them and comfort them as only as you can. Dear Father, we pray for our leaders here locally here in Granville County. We pray for our leaders in Raleigh and our leaders in Washington. Again, praying that you would guide us and lead us. This prayer I ask in the name of thy Son, Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Pledge of allegiance. Commissioner Gleason.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Gleason.
Here.
Commissioner Vaughn.
Here.
Mayor President Wilkins.
Present.
Commissioner Kaczynski. Commissioner Ray.
Present.
Mayor Downey.
Present.
Thank you.
Thank you. Approval of agenda?
So moved.
Mayor, I've got one item I need to add to consent agenda. It's the revised deed for the Hawley Middle School property to 5F. If you can do that, with a motion for the manager to
Approve the agenda first.
execute the agreement.
We go. Commissioner Gazette?
If we need to make a motion, it should be consent agenda.
Yeah. We're gonna approve the agenda before we go to the.
So you wanna add-
All right.
Just like contracts are occasionally on the consent agenda, the approval of these, that you recall, this is a deed that the board has seen before months ago. We were waiting to execute it as we considered whether or not to add a third parcel to the conveyance to the county. We're still working through the details on the third parcel, but the county would like to move forward with the project because they've got a contractor lined up. So they need to, they'd like to get the deed executed, so
So in the consent agenda, you're asking us to approve the consent agenda, which would just automatically say the city manager can sign it? Would there be a motion to give them the authority?
Well, the consent agenda is that you want to approve whatever is on display in the consent agenda with, as from one batch, further discussion.
Okay.
In the same way that we put kind of routine contracts occasionally on the consent agenda.
I also have one other item, item number 5D is not a requirement for this board to vote on, so there was no need for that item to be on the agenda.
So we're moving that.
Mr. Gleason has a question.
Commissioner Gleason?
Well, I don't have a problem with that being removed from the consent agenda, and that's what we're approving, right? So we're approving
What was your, agreement for the deeds?
The school process.
It's the city conveying ownership of those two parcels to the county to develop that park.
All the county recreation, the Hawley Recreation Facility project we talked about several months ago. There's the two city-owned parcels adjacent to.
Oh, yeah, I got it. I just want to make sure I wrote it correctly down on the sheet.
Commissioner Gleason? Did you have anything else?
No, I'm good.
Okay. All right.
We on 4 or 5, I'm confused.
It's
I
5.
made a motion to do 4, approve the agenda.
Approve the consent agenda. First, we have to approve the regular agenda.
That's right, that's my motion.
All right. It's been a motion to approve the approval of the agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right.
Now I'm confused. We did the regular agenda first. We didn't vote on the consent agenda yet. Yeah, we're getting there now.
Yes, sir.
That's not what we just did. That is not what we just did. We just added, under the approval of the agenda, we just removed 5D, and we added from the consent agenda, and we added 5F, which is the deed approval of the two Hawley tracks. That's
My
what we,
motion was the approval of the original agenda, item number 4.
okay.
Now we're gonna
That
go
is
to
correct.
Yeah.
That is correct.
Yeah, now we're gonna move to the approval of the consent agenda.
Okay.
I was confused too, man.
Any discussion of the consent agenda?
So moved.
As amended.
All right.
As amended. Thank you.
All right. It's been a motion to accept the consent agenda as amended. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right. Introduction, recognition, and presentation. Presentation of PD Accreditation Award, Mr. Bill Hollinsey.
I'm still confused. So we voted on the agenda, before we voted on the consent agenda, which is part of the agenda.
Right.
So how could we vote on the agenda?
Before we made the changes to the.
Yeah, I wanted to make a change to the agenda. I didn't want to make a change to the consent agenda.
Are there further changes to the agenda that we'd like to make?
I'd like to add a discussion item to the agenda.
Okay, I think this would be an opportunity to propose that. The board can still amend the agenda, the board's agenda.
Okay.
I'd like to add item 11A, absence for Mayor Downey.
So now we just have to approve the agenda with that amendment.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a motion to approve the agenda with the amendment of 11A? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? All right. Now, Mr. Bill Hollenseed, presentation of PD Accreditation Award.
Good evening, Mayor Downey, members of the City Commission, City Manager Turner, Chief Wayless, members of the Creedmoor Police Department, and citizens of Creedmoor. I appreciate the opportunity and the honor to be here this evening. Tonight we celebrate a milestone for the Creedmoor Police Department and the entire Creedmoor community. On behalf of the NCLEA committee, I offer my sincere congratulations to the Creedmoor Police Department for earning the North Carolina Law Enforcement Accreditation Award. They've met all 116 standards of professional excellence. After approval from the NCLEA Accreditation Committee, the entire Criminal Justice Standards Commission met and confirmed the award for full accreditation on May the 8th of this year. This award is more than just a framed certificate. It reflects months of disciplined work through policy review, rigorous training, careful documentation, and commendable professionalism by officers and staff across the entire department. It is tangible recognition that the Creedmoor Police Department operates with accountability, transparency, and consistent best current practices that protect both public safety and constitutional safeguards. I need to emphasize the word current. As best practices evolve in the areas of leadership development, crisis intervention, data systems, officer wellness, early intervention systems, and other critical areas, the North Carolina Law Enforcement Accreditation Program will assist agencies in developing policies and procedures to ensure that we are meeting the needs of our officers, our employees, and our communities as a whole. I want to commend Chief Wayless, his command staff, Accreditation Manager Ricky Buchanan, and every member of the department who contributed their time and expertise. And thanks to each one of you, members of the City Commission and the City Administration, for your leadership and your support in this important effort. It is imperative that members of this commission continue to support the police department in this ever-evolving process. Achieving accreditation benefits the entire community. It strengthens public confidence, reduces departmental risk and liability, supports officer development and retention, and positions Creedmoor as a forward-looking professional municipality. It also commits the agency to continuous improvement. Accreditation is not an endpoint, but a standard that must be maintained and built upon. This accomplishment stands as a testament to the dedication, professionalism, and sincere commitment of the Creedmoor Police Department to upholding excellence in law enforcement. Please join me in congratulating Chief Wayless and the entire Creedmoor Police Department for this well-deserved honor and in supporting their continued support of excellence.
You gotta go first. You understand?
That's nice.
Okay.
I didn't know what you, yeah, just kidding.
Obviously, you know, thank you, actually, before I did that, good evening.
Good evening.
Members of the board. Obviously, you all know that accreditation was one of my goals when I first got here. I asked for a manager every budget that we got here. It meant a lot to me, just because I know what it means to our department, I know what it means to our city. You know, I tried to do a lot of it by myself, and my staff would tell you it was a lot of days where we gathered our computer on my desk and trying to do it, and we did as much as we could, but then we were blessed to get Ricky Buchanan on board. And he has been such a true blessing to us, and instrumental in us getting accreditation. So, thank you, Chief, for coming to present this. Again, this is one of the highlights of my time here in Creedmoor, so thank you.
Thank you, Chief. The presentation of the law enforcement certificate to Sergeant Tim Cap.
All right, good evening again, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, members of the board. It's a pleasure to stand before you again tonight to recognize Sergeant Timothy Cap Jr. for receiving his Law Enforcement Advanced Certificate. The North Carolina Criminal Justice Education and Training Standards Commission offers this professional certificate program to recognize the level of competency of officers serving governmental agencies within the state, to foster increased interest in college education and professional training programs, and to attract highly qualified people into law enforcement and criminal justice careers. Eligibility for professional certificates is determined by a formula that combines formal education, professional training, and work experience as a law enforcement or criminal justice officer. Sergeant Cap graduated from basic law enforcement training in the spring of 2001 and has been a member of the Creedmoor Police Department for approximately 9 years of his career. During his time in Creedmoor, Sergeant Cap has served as a patrol officer and is now one of our patrol sergeants. Over the course of his over 15-year career, he has completed several leadership courses to include critical leadership through Wake Tech Community College, and he has also received his FBI Leader Trilogy Award. In 2021, he earned his Associate's degree in Applied Science and Criminal Justice Technology from Grant Sparrow Community College. With more than 763 hours of training combined with over his 15 years of law enforcement experience, Sergeant Cap has been awarded his Advanced Law Enforcement Certification for the North Carolina Criminal Justice Education and Standards Commission. Congratulations, Sergeant.
Wait.
If anyone's not going to.
You want to pose or let me picture?
Good evening, board. Had prepared something in my head and I totally lost it, but first I'd like to thank my family, my wife, my kids, and the board, because the board supports the police department. If it wasn't for them, then I wouldn't be able to go to training to accomplish this. I thank my fellow officers because as anybody in law enforcement knows, we spend more time together than we do actually with families. So they've been there in the long nights trying to get work done at 3 o'clock in the morning. So thank you to my fellow officers for their support. And I thank the citizens of Creedmoor too. It's truly been a long process. It's been a long goal of mine to get this certificate. Thank you, Chief, for your dedication to support as well. Thank you.
And one more thing we don't know about Sergeant Cap is that my son and all the other kids around the community knows that he carries lollipops around. And it's amazing. So thank you, Sergeant Cap.
Sergeant Cap has called me at 11:30 at night and said, "Ma'am, your garage door is open." He knows the citizens. He knows their habits. And it really makes me feel safe to know that he's on the street. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Yes, sir. All right, moving, request to address the board, ma'am. Oh, yeah, wrong ones, okay. Moving on, public comment, I'm sorry.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir. Mr. Gleason?
Will we give the folks a little time to leave before we,
Yes, sir.
thank you.
Yeah, it's right here. Right. He ain't got the spot. It's public comment. Public comment. Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, public comment, we have Ms. Molly Mixon. We ask you to keep your statements to 3 minutes. Name and address. Thank you.
My name is Molly Mixon. I live at 306 Bridget Way, Creedmoor, North Carolina. And I'm here to address the board. On May 16th, I attended a PFAS workshop held by Dominique. She is a fantastic speaker. She really knows the subject very well. I gave you handouts, and she has done her homework on that. I found the seminar to be very helpful, and I really want to encourage you as a board to attend, and I also want the professional board to attend. I'd also like the board members of STEM South Granville to also attend, and the people in the city of Creedmoor, STEM, and Granville. PFAS, known as forever chemicals, started to be made in the 1950s. They are in our everyday products, such as soap, waterproofing, even in our foods and drinking water. Dominique told us many waste disposal sites, when they get rid of our poo, that poo gets used as fertilizer. And that poo has PFAS in it. So it's a revolving cycle. And I think we all just need a better understanding of how it's affecting us in our everyday lives. PFAS is a big concern for all of us as a community. I want to encourage everyone to attend. Dominique's goal is to educate the community. She answers questions like what we can do today, like eating more fiber, helps flush it out. She also provided on her paper, her document, other resources that we can use. I just think that this is a good starting point for us as a platform to work from. And she is here tonight if we have any questions to ask of her. And that's pretty much it. I only have 3 minutes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Marley.
Ms. Molly. Thank you.
But I'm going to hand out some other people that are here.
Yeah, Ryan, I was waiting to see did her thing.
There is a raffle for $25 gift card. Free lunch.
All right. Mr. Ryan Brown.
Thank you. Ryan Brown, 2009 Francis Court. Real quick, your item 5A was about the alcohol waiver and whatnot. I think you guys should do a social district somewhere in Creedmoor. That'd be awesome. Chief of Police and Sheriff both told me they were fine with it. But anyways, along with that, I'm here to speak on a couple different things. One of them is flock cameras, and the other is just the police budget / the budget in general. As I've said for a couple of weeks or months now, the flock systems are pretty creepy, as in they follow you around wherever you go. They have the ability to create a sort of map of where you've been going, where you've been coming, what your week looks like throughout or what you do throughout the week. And on top of that, we have what I think is about a 12% tax increase if we got rid of the flock cameras, we could do an 11 or 10% tax increase. So if you're going to raise our taxes, at least give us the decency of not spying on us in a social district. We'd have a little bit more fun. That being said, half of our budget seems to be on policing. And I know we just got rid of the 911 center here and everything else. It seems like the entire budget shortfall is a new building that I don't know if we need or not. It's not my call. But then we have to pay for the interest on the loan and everything else. And we've got 3 officers who seemingly used to work here at the 911 center and all overtime doing new things like records, whatever. I don't know if anyone else sends in records to the police department besides me. But if we're going to have what's probably a 12% increase in our taxes, you're asking the citizens of Creedmoor to tighten their belt a little bit more. And as Commissioner Kuczynski said a couple of weeks back, we don't want to be trendsetters by raising our taxes. So my belief is that if we raise taxes, then Granville's going to raise taxes, and it's going to be asking a lot for a city that's not cutting their budget really, it seems like, at all. Anyways, I have a hacker background and tech background. This right here is just a little microcontroller. It's got a little buzzer on it and a GPS. Whenever I'm driving around, it'll alert me whenever there's a sheriff nearby or police department vehicle nearby, or whether or not I can see all their things. This is the same type of technology that Flock is using, and it's something that can be applied against just anybody in the city. And I think that it's weird that we're sending all of our data to Flock, a company that's using it, selling it, all this other stuff. And I'd really hate for, someone to spend $500, they could monitor the entire, citizenry of Creedmoor and put it out on the internet. And I don't want that. I don't think you guys do. Thank you.
Thank you, Ron. All right. Old business. Update on CSX easement, 120 Sanderford Street.
So this
The
is
city
a quick
attorney.
update for y'all. Y'all should have the email and thread. This is exactly what we were hoping would be the outcome of having CSX do the research that they made. They confirmed that they not only do they not have, or did they abandon the right of way, railroad right of way that they might have had. They also confirmed that they don't claim any other ownership type. They don't claim simple ownership. They don't claim an easement. So the city now, for all intents and purposes, owns that property free and clear. So we are all set.
Cool. Thank you. Revised draft of Code of Ethics for Creedmoor Board of Commissioners and the City of Creedmoor Board of Commissioner Rules of Procedure. Also have City Attorney.
Again, you also have, the revised versions of both the rules of procedure and the code of ethics. These are all changes that we discussed at previous board meetings. The only thing I'll comment, is that I think and I think Barbara's already taken care of this, there are some funky formatting issues with the Word version of these the original Word version of these documents. And so they're fairly cumbersome to navigate in Word format. I think Barbara is working on retyping those into a more standard format. So there may be further formatting changes to documents. There will not be substantive changes, but you'll notice these odd line paragraph breaks that will, once Barbara has worked her magic, get a little bit more consistent and uniform. But otherwise, the documents that you have in front of you are the revised rules of procedure.
Thanks, Kevin. Commissioner Kuczynski.
So the one thing that I have found in these rules, for both of these, is the title is wrong. The title says Board of Commissioners, and I believe it should say, since everything in the document says the mayor and Board of Commissioners, I believe the title should say Mayor and Board of Commissioners, because these rules apply to all of us. Yes, with the Code of Conduct and the Rules and Procedure. Thank you.
Commissioner Moss.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I just wanted, number one, we're gonna be asking for a motion to adopt, correct? Okay, all right. So just to clarify, and I think it's important to say for, Commissioner Kozinski kind of pointed it out a little bit there, but I think it's important for us to say to the public, you know, what this really does, for the city. Under the Code of Ethics, it does add the mayor to it. It previously was just the Board of Commissioners. So I think that is definitely an important move. And then under the Rules of Procedure, the big one, at least in my opinion, is we will now be adding a second to our motions. And kind of a follow-up question on that piece, will that take effect once we pass this motion, or will it take effect at the next meeting?
That's the pleasure of the board. You could certainly say, following the vote to approve and adopt these revised rules of procedure, they take immediate effect. And so whatever's next on the vote would be on the agenda, this evening, or your next motion on the agenda this evening would require a motion and then a second for a discussion. Or you can make that, the amendment with the rules of procedure effective beginning at your June work session, whatever the board would like to do.
So, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to go ahead and make a motion. I know you'll open it up for discussion, but I'd like to move that we adopt the revised Code of Ethics for the Mayor and City of Creedmoor Board of Commissioners and the City of Creedmoor Board of Commissioners Rules of Procedure, with the second going into effect immediately.
Second. Oh. Not yet.
All right, is there any discussion?
I got one more
Okay.
thing. Under Code Rule 3.3.C, the required time for notice before a meeting, it talks about the notice, but it doesn't give the required time. I think it's 48 hours is the statutory rule. Can we include the 48 hours in there so that this is all just for the public? So if they ever go and look and they want to know, it's there. So where it talks about notice before a meeting, if we could put within 48 hours. Now, I have a note in here that talks about Rule 5. Rule 5 must be adhered to exactly by requesting no less than 7 days before a meeting. That is talking about, I think that's about the, all changes to the agenda. Anybody that wants to add something to the agenda must be presented to the city manager no less than 7 days before the meeting. And I know that this man and our clerk have been under the gun to get agendas out on time. And I would really appreciate if everybody would understand that Rule 5 says 7 days. We really do need to. And I'm guilty of it too. I've called him at the last minute and said, can we add something? And he's accommodated all of us at one time or another. But we have to stop that, I think. So.
Alternatively, the board could choose to enlarge that time period to say at least 10 days or 14 days, or whatever the board thinks is reasonable for the meeting. 7 days is what's been in the rules. I've not heard complaints about that, but I do know that city staff are often strict. A lot of times that's because of me, but city staff are often scrambling to get the agenda published. And again, how much of that has to do with commissioners asking for additional agenda items to be added, I don't know. And kind of regardless of what time period we include in the rules, commissioners are always welcome to, like we did tonight, to amend the agenda during the meeting. Of course, that gives staff less time to prepare for whatever the discussion or item might be, to put things into your agenda package that might be useful for context. But
I never even knew there was that 7 days was in there until I read it, and then I thought, well, yeah, we really need to respect the city manager and the clerk and honor that. So it's just a point of interest.
Commissioner Moss?
Yes, thank you, sir, again. I understand the intent of the rule, but I think, and I do believe that by and large, everybody is respecting the rule. But there are times when, you know, we're all kind of flying by the seat of our pants to get stuff done. There's a sense of urgency. We don't always have 7 days. We don't always have 10 days. Things come up that we need to deal with immediately. I'm not opposed to leaving the rule in as it is, but I do think there needs to be a clear understanding amongst ourselves that there are moments that we need to move quickly. And I don't think anybody's being disrespectful of staff in any shape, form, or fashion. But I do, again, primarily believe that we need to allow ourselves some flexibility so that when urgent things come up, we can deal with it.
And just for what it's worth, I don't read the rules to require, I guess to put a finer point on it, I don't read the rules to say, you have to let city staff know of this agenda item 7 days before, otherwise it's not going on the agenda.
Right.
So I think that the rule, the way I read the rule is that is kind of the minimum amount of time that staff needs in order to guarantee that they can prepare to, you know, pull together whatever contextual information might be necessary in order to place all of that into the original agenda package that goes out. That doesn't mean that we can't add things after that 7 days, and like today, it doesn't mean that we can't amend the agenda to add things during the meeting. But I'm certainly happy to, you know, we can revisit that rule if, you know, if it's a solution for a problem. You know, I have no problem with striking it or with extending that 7-day period. Or, you know, reworking the language to make the intent of the rule a little bit clearer and maybe less rigid.
Yeah. Any more discussion? All right.
I'm all for the vote.
All right. Is it a motion yet?
Yeah, I made a motion.
All right. So the motion has been made to draft the Code of Ethics for Creedmoor Board of Commissioners and the City of Creedmoor Board of Commissioners Rules and Procedures, with the second going into effect immediately. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. All right, motion carries 5-0. All right, new business, public hearing of storm water management plan. Ms. Christina Conchella and Mr. Mike Frangos. How are you, sir? Good to see you.
Mike Frangos, Community Development Director. I am here with Christina Conchilla. She is with Ellis Consulting. They've been our consultants since the very beginning with the stormwater management plan and the stormwater fee implementation. So tonight is an annual presentation just for the general information of the citizens regarding our stormwater management plan and our NS4 program. She's going to give an overview of that. And then at the end, we do have a renewal of our service contract with Raptellis, which would be a second item requiring a motion at that time. So I'll turn it over to you.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I am happy to be here tonight. As some of you may recall, I was here this time last year to go over the city's updated stormwater management plan, which is a component of your National Pollutant Discharge Elimination System, MPDS, Municipal Separate Storm Sewer System, it's a mouthful, MS4 permit, which is part of the Clean Water Act. So this is, a federally mandated permit, unfunded. I'm going to just give a quick overview. We went over it very brief so that we can get home and watch the games.
It should be on. There it is.
Okay.
There we go. There you go.
Okay. So again, I'm Christina Conchella with Raptellis. I'm working primarily with Mike and Rebecca, but I can't leave out the amazing code enforcement and public works staff who do a ton of work on this as well. So here are the components of the stormwater program. Obviously, lots of channel and ditch filling and maintenance, all the storm drain cleaning, the street sweeping that's done regularly, and again, permit compliance, and then updating infrastructure, the stormwater infrastructure, the repair and replacement of that infrastructure on a regular basis. So again, to go over this MPDS permit, you have had this permit, were designated an MS4 small community in 2010. These permits last for 5 years. You're currently on your 3rd permit term. It was just renewed in November of last year, which is fantastic, which is why you had to update that stormwater management plan. Because it's an unfunded mandate, the city did decide to form a stormwater utility with the other communities that you see here. We call it the Granville-Person County Stormwater Utilities, with along with Butner, STEM, Granville County, Person County. So that is how this program is funded. It does have an annual reporting requirement where you kind of have to say and provide to the state evidence of all the things you've done, which is kind of what I'm going to summarize for you all. And that's due at the end of August. And there is also an audit every permit term. So as you may recall, a few years ago, the city was audited, and it is important to say you successfully passed that audit. We're one of only a handful of programs all across the state that passed, and we do expect this city to be audited again during this 5-year permit term. So that's really important. So we're really trying to stay on top of all the documentation, all of the requirements, and make sure everything is being met. So that's why Raphaelis is working really closely with the city staff. So this is just talking about the stormwater management plan. So the stormwater management plan is just sort of like a standard operating procedure of all the things the city is going to do to fulfill their permit obligations. So it identifies what we call best management practices, or BMPs, and there's 6 areas where they have to fulfill BMPs, and then it identifies a responsible person and party as well. So there are some basics of the program that are in the stormwater management plan. It gives the service area, it describes the system, the streams that the stormwater flows into, any water quality programs, and just the organization, like who's in charge and who's responsible for fulfilling the permit. So these are those 6 measures that I was talking about. We call them minimum control measures. So the first one's public education and outreach. There's public involvement and participation, illicit discharge detection and elimination, construction site runoff controls, and I'm going to go through all of these, post-construction runoff controls, and then the pollution prevention and good housekeeping, which is sort of overseeing the city's municipal operations. I just want to talk a little bit about all the great things that have been going on with the public education and outreach. So the website was updated with a new permit and a new plan. Public Works Day was held on May 21st. There were some Creedmoor Connector articles on illegal dumping and illicit discharge. The staff continually monitor a stormwater hotline, which is fantastic. So that if any citizen has a complaint that they want to lodge, there's a hotline available for them to call. The Clean Water Education Partnership, you all have contracted with them to do school presentations, and one was done at Granville High School this year. And they also regularly do stormwater information ads. And as you can see in this picture here, we do operate and maintain 8 pet waste stations. And there were some new educational brochures for new employees that go into the sort of the new employee education packets. So we did that on illicit discharge and construction site runoff controls. And that's really important because it helps people be able to identify those things as they're driving through the community. If there's somebody dumping something into a storm drain, they know, oh, that's what's happening, and they can contact the stormwater hotline, or they can contact community development or public works and say, hey, this is going on, or we see erosion coming off a construction site. So the next minimum control measure is called public involvement and participation. Part of that is this meeting tonight. So it's giving the public an opportunity to come up and talk about the stormwater plan if they wish. And there's also a component for a volunteer opportunity. So that's why it's public involvement. So it gives the public an opportunity to be involved in stormwater. So in this case, there was a litter sweep held on October 25th. As a requirement, it was advertised. And that way people could come and participate. There's also the transfer of property, so Lake Rogers North property, and a public notice for that, and public were able to come comment on that as well. And again, the stormwater hotline. The stormwater hotline you'll kind of see in multiple of the minimum control measures is a component in the permit for multiple. So here's one of those brochures that I mentioned. So illicit discharge detection and elimination. Jerry does a ton of those inspections on a regular basis. And we did produce a new outdoor inspection form for him to complete those. Again, the stormwater hotline, and Raphaelis also hosted employee training. So we trained community development, public works, and code enforcement staff on February 19th on how to do illicit discharge detection in the course of their everyday jobs. Since they're the ones with the boots on the ground, it's important for them to be able to see if someone is dumping something, and get in the register. So this is talking about construction site stormwater runoff control. You all do this program is overseen by the state through the DEQ, the Department of Environmental Quality. But we are required as part of the permit to train employees, which again was on February 19th. And we also produced brochures to give out to new employees. So this is the one for the construction site. So that way they know what to do if they encounter a construction site that has erosion, running off into a stream. So this is post-construction. Stimmel, you all contracted Stimmel to do your stormwater reviews there. But staff does a really great job tracking and maintaining and making sure that these stormwater control measures, like the stormwater pond you see in the picture here, are being operated and maintained and treating stormwater as they should. So this is done on a regular basis. So some of these are privately owned, and staff has to call and track these down and make sure that they're doing their inspections as they should, which is quite an effort. And lastly is the pollution prevention and good housekeeping piece. Stephen, the Public Works Director, he does monthly inspections of the Public Works building to make sure that, there isn't any type of hazardous material flowing out of that building and everything is being stored properly as it should. And the city contracted this year with F&S Solutions to inspect the city-owned stormwater control devices. And American Road Conservation does the street sweeping. Auto Bright car washes all the city-owned vehicles so that those aren't being, there's nothing coming off of when cars are being washed and flowing into a stream, the stormwater for that. And again, a big component of this was part of the employee training that we gave on February 19th. And that is it. And I'm happy to open up to questions or any public comments.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Congela.
You're welcome.
Commissioner Moss?
Thank you again, sir. Ma'am, thank you for a great presentation.
Yeah,
and
good.
I will begin with, it was very exciting to hear that we had a great audit and there were no findings, no deficiencies or anything like that. So I think that's really speaks strongly to the work that y'all are doing, Mike and your team as well. I do have a couple of questions though, and this is really related to, I believe, the channel and ditch mowing. Just trying to get a better sense of what we can and cannot work on as a city. Hopefully that's not a really stupid question. And I'll just go ahead and kind of cut to the chase and tell you why I'm asking it. I think there are other folks in the room that are affected. I forget the couple's name over here. I know they've got a drainage issue as well. But one in particular that I pay close attention to, I know and I grew up here in Creedmoor, we called it a creek, but it's not a creek. It's an urban drainage channel. And it collects water that runs off of three major streets, Church Street, Main Street, and Park Avenue. And these three urban drainage channels converge on Cozart Street. And it has, over the years, created a lot of erosion. And so I'd like to get a clearer understanding again of what we can and cannot work on in this scenario.
This is a good question, and I don't, know the specifics about this, and so maybe Mike knows a little bit more about the specifics of this. So, it does depend upon the classification that the state has for this stream. The problem is when more impervious area is built is what's causing a lot of that erosion, right? So the more sort of impervious surface that is constructed around that drainage connector, the more stormwater that's going to run off into it, and that's what's causing that erosion problem. I don't have all the specifics on what can and can't be done until I really would know what the classification of it is. The stream is or connector or whatever it is. But, because there are limitations if it is classified by the state as an actual stream. On the USGS, they do have a lot of rules about what you can do. And you can certainly get a permit. There are permits you can get, 401, 404 permits that you can get to modify those types of things if it is classified as a stream. But you need to have an engineering analysis, to see if it needs to be restructured. If it's not an actual stream, to hold stormwater better.
Sure, not intending to put you on the spot. I was just trying to get a clearer understanding. What I'll do is maybe take the manager on a walking tour of exactly what I'm talking about. And maybe Mike, I don't know if you want to go to, kind of a walking tour. I can tell you, and I know that it was called in because I called it in. There was it wasn't from a manhole, but there was raw sewage flowing into this area that I'm speaking about. And so I know it got taken care of. But I'm wondering, again, just trying to get a clear understanding of those things that we can and cannot work on historically. And this is a historical problem. This didn't just happen just in the last little bit. This has been ongoing for a number of years now. So just trying to get some clear understanding. But I'll work with the city manager on that. Thank you, ma'am.
Any more questions? All right. At this time, I open up the public hearing. Any questions from the audience? Oh, no one signed up for annual stormwater management plan to speak at the public hearing.
Are you interested in whether stormwater funds can be used to fix it?
Well,
Hearing none, I close public hearing.
that's a good question, though. Yeah.
We need a motion. Oh, go ahead, Mr. Springer.
I mean, thank you for that.
Oh, yes, sir.
It's a part of our annual, responsibility to open up the forum and have citizens the opportunity to come and speak. And we have spoken to several. I know in the past year there have been a few stormwater complaints of issues regarding localized flooding and different things. And we have been working with several of these in conjunction with NCDOT. Of course, Carl in my department, city engineer, and Seguasa. It seems whenever you talk about wastewater surges, Seguasa comes into the picture. So, long story short, we've been doing great work when it comes to this MS4 responsibility that was put on us. And honestly, it really is due to the professionals that we have. So Stimmel does our stormwater engineering, and Raptilus is the one that helps us with the fee and this compliance. So I certainly want to keep those relationships as they are, because I think we've been real successful and it's been worthwhile endeavor. So in your agenda packet, there is a memo from Jennifer Tavansis, who is the vice president of Raptilus, which talks about simply extending the existing services. We call them advisory services from Raptilus, and for fiscal year 27. So there wouldn't be a payment that would impact at all fiscal 26. We already are under contract for 26. And the total would be $16,000 for that year. That is money well spent. That is knowledge and experience and expertise that we bring in-house that helps us to do what we do so well. So my recommendation would be to continue that relationship.
All right. I don't have any motion.
Mr. Mayor, I'll make the motion. I was hoping somebody else would make it so I can make the first second.
I'm gonna do that.
It's a race for second.
I'll second, got it. I got it. You gonna make the motion?
I did make the motion.
Second.
All right. It's been a motion to approve the Raptilus service agreement for 1 year from July 1st, 2026 through June 30th, 2027, not to exceed $16,000, and authorize the city manager to execute the agreement. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you, Mr. Wayne. Thank you, Ms. Coachella. Fiscal year 27 operating budget, Mr. Mike Turner.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mayor Pro Tem and Commissioners, good evening. In accordance with the North Carolina Local Government Budget and Fiscal Control Act, excuse me, I'm pleased to submit to the board this evening the proposed fiscal year 26-27 budget for the city of Creedmoor. The process may have been long and arduous, but I believe in the end we have an excellent plan and strategy to carry the city of Creedmoor forward in 2027. Budget calendar. Following the city's annual strategic planning retreat in February, 2 budget work sessions, April 21, May 19, and a special call meeting on May the 26th to finalize the budget. This evening's public hearing is the last event on the 2027 calendar before final adoption of the budget. After several very productive work sessions, the recommended FY '27 general fund budget is $7,582,377, which includes a tax rate of 58 cents per $100 in value. Including the Stormwater Enterprise Fund and Power Bill funds, the total budget for all funds in FY '27 is $8,477,011. Revenue analysis, the total property evaluation is $605,439 as of April 15, 2026 from the tax office. The FY '27 budgeted tax revenue is projected to be $3,780,949, and the budgeted sales tax revenue is anticipated to be $1,953,694. North Carolina General Statute 2097B1 states that a city or town may levy an annual municipal vehicle tax not to exceed $30 per vehicle upon any vehicle resident in the city or town. The first purpose may be used for an lawful purpose, any lawful purpose. The remainder of the tax levy may be used for maintaining, repairing, constructing, reconstructing, widening, or improving public streets in the city that do not form a part of the state highway system. The city's current levy $10 per vehicle, generating approximately $43,000 in revenue. The '27 budget increases the annual tax levy to $30, estimating an additional annual revenue of $86,000 in revenue. Investment earnings. Investment earnings have increased significantly over the last two fiscal years due to the increase in the interest rate. However, as the federal rate increase begins to lower, the city anticipates receiving $50,000 less than the $500,000 received in '26 for a total of $450,000 in 2027. Property taxes for real property and vehicles are calculated using a formula that incorporates property values, tax rates, and estimated collection rates. Real property revenues for 2027 are estimated at $3,780,949 using a collection rate of 99.83% from our FY '25 audit, an increase of $457,540. Although the city has seen significant increases in sales revenue through the pandemic, sales tax revenue seen during those periods is starting to settle down. Staff are projecting level sales tax revenue in the upcoming budget. Total revenue projections for sales tax are $1,953,694 for FY '27. It is necessary for all local governments to maintain fund balance, to provide for unanticipated expenses or emergencies, and to provide working capital in the first several months of the year until adequate revenues are available to fund operations. As stated in the city's fiscal policy guidelines as approved by the board, it is the goal of the city of Creedmoor to have a fund balance available for appropriation of 50% of that year's expenditures. Limiting appropriation of fund balance to non-recurring expenses, and then only when it is at level healthy enough to warrant spending, is fiscally responsible. With a budget deficit this year of $679,182 and a 6-cent tax increase that will generate $398,684, a significantly reduced amount is needed from fund balance this year, totaling $280,498 to balance this year's budget. It is important to note that this year's allocation from fund balance is almost $400,000 less than last year's operating budget allocation. Budget highlights. There are several significant items in this year's budget that I would like to point out. Our police department telecommunications reorganization, contractual agreement with County 911, costing $147,000. A 2% cost of living adjustment recommended for full-time employees. An elders employer contribution rate that's adjusted each year. Law enforcement goes from $1,608 to $1,710. General employees $1,436 to $1,510. First year of debt service payment for new construction of police department city hall renovation project is $252,602 that we did not have last year. We have been asked for one additional SRO for Granville and Phoenix Academies in the former Creedmoor Elementary School. It's being funded 75% or $83,000 from the school system. We have an increase in vehicle fuel and postage, which is anticipated to go from 78 cents as high as 95. That decision hadn't been made yet, but we've been told to plan for that. Annual enterprise fleet maintenance payment for the police department vehicles is $248,282. And we'll move right on to department by percentages. The police department is by far the most significant amount in funding because of all the employees, equipment they have, the vehicles they have, and the services that they provide, at 47.5%. Fire protection, fire and rescue services by the Creedmoor Fire Department is 5.9% of our total budget. Public Works, 7.9, Community Development, 4, Parks and Rec, 7.9, City Manager, 5, Administrative Services, 10.9, City Attorney, 1% of our budget, and Finance, 4% of our budget. Each fiscal year, the city provides funding to support various nonprofit agencies. The total allocation for outside agency funding this year totals $10,500. I'm not going to read through those. You've got them. You've seen them before. Nothing has changed since the last presentation. Debt service fund, revenue assumptions, transfer from general fund balance $252,602 for debt payment for our debt service on the police department I mentioned a moment ago. That loan payment and the interest is $114,602, and the loan payment principal is $138,000 for a total of $252,602. Stormwater Enterprise Fund. The Stormwater Fund is the city of Creedmoor is the city's only enterprise fund. The enterprise funds are used to account for operations that are financed and operated in a manner like a private business enterprise, where the intent of the governing body is that the cost of providing goods and services to the public on a continuing basis be financed or recovered primarily through user charges. The total FY27 recommended budget for Stormwater Fund is $440,951. This is being a decrease of $82 from FY26. This recommended budget does not include any major projects to be completed in the upcoming fiscal year. That you will, when we have those numbers, we'll come back to the board for further discussion and action. Revenue assumptions, stormwater collections, interest income, recommended expenditures, balance out with administration planning, repair and improvements, and service payments. Power bill, the total FY27 recommended budget for power bill is $200,000 to fund the engineering and construction of city sidewalks and city-owned streets. So what is the next step? In conclusion, I'd like to publicly express my appreciation to the finance director, all of the department heads, other staff that were involved in our planning and execution of this year's budget, for their assistance in developing a fiscally responsible budget this year. Under the leadership and direction of the Board of Commissioners, I look forward to another successful year that brings us closer to achieving the goals identified by the board and enhancing the level of service we provide to the citizens of Creedmoor. With that, I'll say thank you. Unless you have questions, I'll turn it back over for Mr. Downey to open the public hearing.
Any questions? Mayor Pro Tem Wilkins.
City Manager, thank you. Your hard work. Thank you and the staff for what you've done. And tonight, the majority of the board seems poised to pass a 6-cent tax increase on our citizens. And I believe it appears like that tax increase will pass. But I continue to believe more work could have been done to further reduce the deficit and lessen the burden on our citizens. At a time when families are dealing with rising costs for groceries, utilities, housing, and everyday living expenses, I believe we have a responsibility to exhaust every reasonable option for asking taxpayers to pay more. Fiscal responsibility requires us to distinguish between what is absolutely necessary and what can wait for another day. Reasonable people may disagree, and this is simply one man's opinion. But I believe a more disciplined approach to spending could have produced a different outcome for the people of our community. For that reason, I will not be supporting a tax increase. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. And we did over 3 or 4 work sessions, cut $350,000.
That's why I said thank you. I got you. Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Commissioner Moss?
Sir, thank you again. Mike and Lee and all of our staff, I want to thank you for your work on the budget. It was, I know it wasn't easy. And I think it's fair to say that we're not the only governmental entity that is challenged in these economic times. And I too will be voting no on the budget, but it does not reflect any disrespect for your work or the commitment to the city of Creedmoor. But for me, and again, I'm only speaking for me, it is more about a philosophical difference with my colleagues on how a tax increase in general affects citizens at this particular moment in time. Putting it as simply as I can, when people are getting hit financially with increased food costs, healthcare costs, gas costs, power bills, and the list could go on. In my opinion, a 6 cents tax increase feels like we're piling on as a city. It was mentioned at our last meeting that we have to take care of the city. I agree with that. I do. But I think at the same time, I think it is incumbent upon us to put our citizens first. And I'm just not quite convinced that we're doing that. But before I conclude my remarks, I do have 2 questions that I want to ask just to make sure that I'm clear so that as we move through this year, I'm going to be acting appropriately. And it has to do with what I consider to be unanticipated expenses. There were a couple of things that we talked about in the budget that are not in the budget. And I'm just trying to figure out, I just want to make sure that I'm clear on how we're going to go about funding those things when the time comes. There are a couple of things in particular. The Main Street parking lot project, as I understand, it's an approved project, but it's not currently budgeted. And then the second thing is going to be the walls are going up right now next door with the new police department. I think it's been pointed out on multiple occasions, furniture is not included in this year's budget. So in my opinion, it appears that the fund balance is going to get hit in some way. And maybe you can just clarify me or maybe put my fears to rest on how that's going to look as we kind of continue through this year, sir.
Okay. Thank you, Commissioner Moss. Yeah, we do. We're waiting for numbers to come in before we know what to bring to you for discussion on whether you want to continue with the project or transfer funds from fund balance to proceed with this project. Actually, 3% of this tax increase, it's taking 3% of this tax increase to make the debt service payment that the board voted to approve in 2025. So the other 3% is for other reasons, of course, but, do you have anything you want to add to that? Anything at all?
So to answer your question, what you stated, for the first one being, the Main Street parking. How we're going to address that, once the bid come in, we have the final dollar amount, we will bring that to you for us to board for approval, and the first amendment will be completed at that moment to fund that project. The second being the furniture, in the bargain, there was a month allocated for furniture, fixtures, and equipment. At the time, we don't know, the staff are evaluating the current furniture that they have now, see what we transferred over to the new building. So once we get that, and we see what's actually needed, we will go off for quotes on furniture. We've already started those discussions with staff, and taking out different companies that can supply furniture. So there are funds allocated for that in the debt bar. So at the moment, no general fund dollars is needed for that because we have that already allocated. And then also to speak on this fund balance policy. Our fund balance policy is 50% of general fund expenditures. So with this tax rate and using less general fund dollars to balance the budget, that opens up more room for us to be able to complete projects that are to come, one being, Main Street parking, the next being, the dam repair that is to come. That it puts us in a good space to be able to do those things without going below our fund as a company. So, we understand how we should go ahead.
Okay. Thank you, Lee. That makes me feel a lot better. And I'm not meaning to sound pessimistic. I am trying to be realistic about what our capabilities are. So that's why I'm asking these questions. It is not because I'm not supportive of what we're trying to do. That is not it. Just trying to figure out how we get there. Thank you.
Thank you, Lee, for those additional details. And I will give you an update on the dam. I spoke to the city engineer today. Commissioner Gleason called and asked about any progress on that. There's a waiting period right now, 3 to 4 months out on the testing lab. And as soon as the lab does the testing on those samples and determines whether or not what those materials are, we will then get an estimated cost for the dam repairs. And when we know that, we bring that back to the board as well.
Commissioner Kozinski.
So, Mike, the municipal vehicle tax, I know you sent a communication to us. Did we want to raise it from $10 to 20 or 30? And I wanted to know is, I think you got enough votes from the board for $30?
Yes, ma'am.
So that to raise the vehicle tax to $30 is how we're only taking, 200, whatever it is, 280,000. That's already figured in.
As opposed to a much higher amount. Yes, ma'am.
So I would like to know which commissioners voted for that municipal vehicle tax to go up to $30. I'd like to know from the board members themselves. Because it's public record.
Are you asking for a poll, ma'am?
I would like to know who voted to raise the vehicle tax to $30.
I did.
I did, and Robert did.
I voted no.
I voted no.
I voted yes.
That's the same, that's the three I have as well.
Okay. So what I was trying to say is we all contributed to try and get this fund balance, allocation down lower by doing that. And I think it was the right move. I think it was absolutely the right move. Can you tell me what the 401k contribution to the employees is right now? What's the percentage?
Is it 5%? 5%.
It's 5 for regular staff.
Okay. And we do know that, if Graham's Crossing had been done, we would have had that additional revenue coming in, but it's not. And I think that last year when we did our tax increase, we were under the impression that they would be done and online, and we would have the tax revenue from 177 more homes, but it didn't happen. So because I've questioned myself numerous times, why we raised it last year, we didn't think we were going to have to do it again this year, based on that information, but it didn't happen. So hopefully they will get that project done, and we can go forward with that. I know that you have worked, the numbers are amazing with the cutting that you've done. But Mike, if this board does not approve this budget tonight, what is your next option? I believe you told us at the last meeting. I want you to tell us again.
The other option I was forced to consider was a reduction in force of our full-time staff, which would include probably 2 from PD and 1 from each department that had more than one, which would generate, I don't know, $500,000, $513,000, and put 7, 8 people out of work.
Well, I don't want to lay off anybody. I don't want to lay off anybody. That is the next option that we have here.
That is not our only option. That is not our only option. No,
sorry,
no, thank you.
Am I speaking?
I just spoke.
I have the floor, please.
Hey,
He's out of order.
Commissioner Kaczynski.
That's, the city manager told us, and, I don't want to lay anybody off. That's the point I'm making. I don't want to vote for a tax increase. I don't want to lay anybody off. And if somebody's got a better idea of how to do this, please speak up right now.
Well, for clarification, I didn't say it was the only option. I said it was one option that I had to consider.
Commissioner Gleason.
Commissioner Moss said something at the end of his speech, which is we have to be realistic. And I agree with that. We have to be realistic. And I want everybody to look back at the budget of this city for the past 10 years. And for 8 years, there were no tax increases at all, yet normal inflation over the past 10 years has gone up a total of 24%. Year over year, the bad years of 21 and 20, and the taxes did not go up. You know why they didn't go up? Because the federal government gave us a lot of ARPA money. And ARPA money paid a lot of bills. And now realistically, we have to look that the ARPA funds are gone. The sale of the water system, which again brought in a lot of capital after our bills were paid and whatever, which built the community center, beautiful building. We have to maintain it. And if you look at, somebody said about saving for future, I remember my kids gonna buy houses, and they saved money to buy a house. By the time they saved money, the house went up 15% more than the money they saved. And that's what happens. We're in a land where we as a city council have no way of controlling inflation. We can't just say, well, let's forget about the fact that we're paying $1 or $1.50 more for diesel fuel than we were when we started even negotiating or talking about this budget. We're giving the fire department 6 cents, which means our fire department, which is volunteer and charges the taxpayers Zippo. We're giving them 6% to make their life easier. They send letters to everybody in the community. I don't want to ask the fire department, who gave you money? Years ago, if you didn't donate to the fire company, you didn't get a plaque on your house. And when the fire company come up to your house and there was no plaque, they made sure everybody was out of the house, and then they let the house burn up. Today, the volunteer firemen can't do that. So we have to remember, there are so many things to go into a tiny town, tiny city budget that this board has no control over. This fine city manager has no control over. And we've had absolutely no growth for the past 10 years. 90 houses or 100 houses in 10 years does not a city make. And hopefully in 28, 29, when we have another couple of hundred houses in Creedmoor, it will help that. But for now, as far as I'm concerned, I was elected, and I'm going to do what I think is best for the people that elected me. And I think it would be derelict of me not to raise the taxes 6 cents so that we can go the coming year. And sadly, we can't even give our employees what they deserve. Our employees will get a COLA raise this year that's less than the standard of living is going up. So they're actually, at the end of the year, losing money. So here we are. I'm going to vote for the 6 cents for those reasons. I didn't cancel Hulu because it went up 110% in the last 3 years. And I don't see anything on Nextdoor or Facebook about people complaining about they're gonna cancel Hulu because it went up 110%. Yet the people that protect you from convicts, the people that keep your house from burning down, the EMS service that takes care of you when you need to go to the hospital, these people all have to be paid. And the money to operate them has to be paid. The bottom line is you can't say, well, we're not gonna raise taxes, we're gonna cut. And we can argue for 100 years, who's gonna get cut? Who's gonna get cut? And we'll all agree, wow, we can't cut that. And then we'll go to the next one and say, oh shit, we can't cut that. And so we're here, it's 6 cents. Probably should have been 8. But I'm gonna vote for 6, thanks.
How do you follow that?
All right, if there's no more discussion.
I mean, that's where we are. We've got a volunteer fire service who's been in the same building since 1981 with no upgrades to the building. We have a community that's increased since 1981. We have more rooftops and more people in our community. We are we're on the cusp of having to staff the fire station 24/7 with paid personnel and not volunteers, because the nature of what we're into these days, one job used to be sufficient for a lot of people. Now everybody's working 2, 3, 4 jobs to try to survive and raise a family. And I'm no different than anyone else. Bless you. I ran for office to represent those of us that work and have families in this community, because I felt that we needed a voice of the working family man or woman in this community to represent our families. And as much as it hurts me, as just as much as it's going to hurt anybody else about taxes going up, I'm going to have to pay the same amount as everyone else. I have to pay the same fuel costs, the grocery bills, and everything else. We have a gift of a volunteer fire service right now. But the volunteer fire service as a whole is drying up. Communities are going to be looking at ways to combine fire department services. Counties are already in the state of North Carolina taking over fire protection services due to the inability of the volunteers being able to fulfill the obligations of responding to emergencies in the community. So I agree with my fellow Commissioner Gleason. It's a necessary evil where we've just not kept up where we should have been. So I will also be voting yes.
All right, if no more discussion, I'll open up the public hearing. Commissioner Wilkins, Mayor Pro Tem Wilkins.
If you take the vote, would you do it by roll call, in alphabetical order of last name? Then have the public hearing. Once the vote is made.
Yes, sir. All right.
Anybody sign up for the public hearing?
Nobody signed up for the public hearing. Oh,
Can I speak if I'm not signed up?
Yeah,
hold on 1 second.
yeah, he can speak.
Yeah, he can speak. I now call this meeting to the public hearing for the budget, fiscal 2027 budget. Mr. Ryan? Name and address again, and are we doing 3 minutes again, or?
I'll be quick.
Okay.
Ryan Brown, 2009 Francis Court. Thanks for letting me speak twice. You said if anyone had any ideas where to cut, speak, $30,000 from flock cameras, we can change the PD 401k from 6% to 5% to match the other city employees. I worked at a Fortune 500 company, I only got 3% match. So you don't have to cut services, it makes the job a whole lot less sexy, but, you know, asking for real money. And then I guess I have one question. I know it's not public discourse, but is the vehicle tax money, is that going to be sequestered and actually used for the things that were called out statutorily, like maintaining and building new roads, or is that just going to go in the general fund? I just wanted to be tracking for that. So that was all I had. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Ryan. Come on up. Name and address.
Joe Bailey, 312 South Elm Street. 6 cents. I've got it in my pocket right now. You want it? I'll give it to you. If it's going to pay for someone to keep my house from burning down, because that is my major investment. If it's going to have someone there to help me when my son has an epileptic seizure and I'm not there to help him and he's home alone, give me that peace of mind. 6 cents, well worth it. I'll pay it gladly. Oh, yes.
Thank you.
Ms. Marley? Thank you, Ms. Bailey.
Molly Nixon, 306 Bridget Way. I was from the insurance industry. I understand the importance of having a good fire department. They're putting their life on the line. They're putting their health at risk for us. Pay the 6%. I vote for it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? All right, I now close the public hearing. Yes. Mayor Pro Tem.
Mr. City Manager, please correct me if I'm wrong. That 6 cents is 6 cents per $100,000 of home value?
For $100, yes, sir.
Okay, so that's 6 cents times 100 times the value of your home. It's not 6 cents.
6 cents.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Commissioner White?
I just wanted to clarify something. What's the close of the public hearing? You need to let me know if I missed it already?
Yeah.
Are we going to vote on the budget adoption separately, or are we going to wait until after Tennessee, where you do the rate schedule as well? What's the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Mayor,
Commissioner Gleason?
I'm going to make a motion that we adopt the budget as presented by the city manager. I can second that motion.
All right.
Is your motion also, the motion's requested the agenda package for the to adopt the budget ordinance and the fee and rate?
And the fee and rate, yeah, as presented.
Yep.
I still second the motion.
All right, so it's been a motion to approve the fiscal year 27 operating budget and the fiscal 27 fee and rate schedule as presented. It's been seconded. All those in favor by roll call, Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Gleason.
Aye.
Commissioner Kuczynski. No. Commissioner Moss.
No.
Commissioner Way.
Aye.
Commissioner Wilkins.
No.
Motion fails.
Motion fails.
Oh, shit.
Commissioner Kozinski?
I don't want to lay anybody off. I didn't want to raise the taxes. I do feel the tax rate is reasonable and it should be done. However, since Commissioner Moss believes that there is another way to resolve this issue, I'm asking that Commissioner Moss work with the city manager and the finance director and show them how to lower this budget without a tax increase.
Look out.
Do I get to respond?
Commissioner Moss?
Okay. So as we had discussed several meetings ago, as I said then, I was not in favor of the 6 cent tax increase, but I would support a 3 cent tax increase.
So would I.
That is where I will remain.
You just said there was another way to do it.
I was not supportive of 6 cents. You listen to me carefully. I was not supporting the budget recommendation from the city manager for a 6-cent tax increase. That is what I said.
So if he lowers it to 3, what is your suggestion for him to do that? What is your suggestion to get the rate down to 3%, 3 cents, and not lay off any employees or cut any city services? That's what I'm asking you. You've got an idea, and I got it. But when you said there was another, I said there wasn't a way, you said there was a way. So if there is a way for him to cut 3 cents on this, I'm asking you to meet with him and show him how to do it. That's what I'm asking.
I'm giving you the answer right now if you would like it.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. So the answer again, I was supportive of a 3-cent tax increase. I understand, if you would allow me to finish, I understand that it will mean going further into fund balance. We had a budget proposal that showed those numbers. I asked for, via email, I asked for the fund balance appropriation at 3. Mike, maybe you didn't get my email, I'm not sure. I asked for those numbers, I didn't get it. But that's what I'm prepared to do. Because I think there always comes a point, and Robert kind of nailed it for me again. It's a hard thing to do, but I think that we can accommodate a 3-cent tax increase without cutting any positions. We'd had that discussion. I thought that's where we were going. We came back with 6.
So, understand it's 3 cents. So you want him to make up the difference out of fund balance?
I do.
We have taken $1.4 million out of fund balance for the last 2 years. Lee has told us, whoever the last finance director has told us Carla, over and over and over again, numerous times, you cannot continue to do this. You will not be able to sustain it. And I think that you were paying attention to the meetings back then. I know you always are interested. They've told us we can't keep it in fund balance. I think it was Commissioner Wilkins who said eventually it will run dry. It will run dry. And we can't keep doing it. So, I don't know what that was.
Me.
Okay, I'm like, where'd it go? We can't continue to hit fund balance for balancing the budget. And this is the lowest fund balance pull we've had since I've been a commissioner. And I am exactly impressed with that. And like I said, next year we should have Brames Crossing up and running. The Seguasa project, the I-85 Seguasa project, I was told this week is ahead of schedule. We will get the city revenue to make up the difference. But we can't keep hitting fund balance. We just can't. Understand that's your resolution on this, and I appreciate you telling me that, but I don't agree with that idea.
Well, that's my answer.
Commissioner Gleason?
Can I ask our attorney a question?
Whether we get a good answer or not is up for debate.
If a motion was made and defeated, can a person who voted no on the motion now make a motion?
And we don't need to there can be a new motion made to approve the budget and the fee rate schedule.
You can have a second vote? Okay, Mr. Mayor, now that we've had a discussion on that, I'd like to remake my motion that we pass the budget as presented by the city manager and the rate schedule.
Second.
Second. All right,
Robert second.
let me find the motion. Hold on. Yeah, somewhere.
Take 1, 2 seconds.
Where's I put it? I got it somewhere. All right. All right, it's been a motion to,
Our rules of procedure allow a previously failed motion to reconsider.
all right. So it's been a motion and seconded to approve the fiscal year 27 operating budget and the fiscal year 27 fee and rate schedule as presented. All those in favor by alphabetical order?
Commissioner Gleason.
Aye.
Commissioner Kinsey.
Yes.
Commissioner Moss.
No.
Commissioner Wade.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Wilson.
No.
Motion carries. All right. Task order for Douglas Drive and Holly Creek Lane, Mr. Carl Barclay.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the board. I'm Carl Barclay, your city engineer. You have to start with PDF format. Start with PDF. There. Okay, thanks. The Wooten Company is one of 6 engineering firms that we have for on-call engineering services. And Douglas Drive and Holly Creek Lane are both Howe Bill Fund eligible. Start off with that. So the purpose of tonight's presentation is to present Wooten's proposal for roadway improvements to Douglas Drive and washout repair on Holly Creek Lane, and then request the board's approval to proceed with those. And just to be clear, this includes all of the necessary pre-construction activities. It does not include construction costs. Douglas Drive, let's fast forward to look at it while I'm talking about it. I trust you're all familiar with Douglas Drive. NC 56 is at the top of that slide. Main Street or 50 is on the left side. Big white building is CVS. Right-hand side is the community center, upper lot. So, if you've ever driven on Douglas Drive, you know the pavement condition is poor. It's cracked in many places, has some recurring potholes. Parking areas on the south side are not delineated. At any point along Douglas Drive, you can peel off this large parking area, or you can jump back onto the road, sort of like a wild, wild west sometimes. Worn pavement markings, some pavement markings were never put in the beginning. So currently, the traffic on Douglas Drive is used to access the community center, veterinary practice, CVS, and some other businesses. Monday through Friday at about 5 o'clock, it serves as a pressure relief valve for the intersection at 50 and 56. Northbound traffic, if they're heading eastbound, they can sort of head over that way if it's backed up too much at the intersection. Because it connects NC 50 with NC 56, it also has the potential to be a detour if the intersection at the traffic signal is shut down for any reason, whether it's a crash, some sort of construction project, whatever. It's also a pedestrian lane. The Cross City Trail runs along Douglas Drive. So even though it's a very short, narrow road, I would say it's quite an important road for Creedmoor. So the proposed improvements for that road will be repaving the entire length, whether it's an overlay or removing the existing pavement. That the method is to be determined after some investigation. Be curb and gutter all along the south side with 3 driveway entrances. One driveway entrance would be for the veterinary practice. One would be for the rear entrance to 209 Park Avenue. And the third one by the PNC Bank would be to the undeveloped lot. So that would channel the ingress and egress, making it safer. If there's not a lot of traffic on there, it may not seem like a safety issue. But if there's significant traffic on Douglas, if you can pull out at any point in time, that presents a safety issue. Then also replace worn pavement markings. You see some of the crosswalks are worn out going into CVS and at either end of Douglas, adding stop bars and also making some storm drainage improvements. Before I continue with Holly Creek, are there any questions about Douglas as far as what the issues are or what the proposed improvements are.
What are the green, is that gonna be blocked off?
This is a conceptual sketch that was done a couple of years ago.
The green is grass.
The green is really nothing. It's just the three gray blocks in between the green. The gray are the three proposed driveways.
Okay.
This is a conceptual drawing, so.
Sure I got it right. Thank you.
All right, so moving on to the next one, Holly Creek Lane. Now, if you said you're not familiar with that one, I wouldn't be surprised, because it's a narrow gravel road that's dead-ended. On the left side is North Main Street. At the top is Holly Creek Apartments. Right across the middle is Holly Creek Lane. And it's used for access to two SCMs for inspection purposes. One SCM is right there in the middle, that green sort of skinny-shaped thing, and another SCM is on the far right-hand side. It was previously considered to pave this road, I guess possibly connecting to the elementary school through the cemetery, all that. It's just an idea. It never came to pass. There's currently bollards on the right-hand side blocking it from, or separating it from the cemetery. But in fall of 2024, a washout began due to the failure of two 24-inch pipes under the road. So we abandoned thoughts of improvements and just focused on, we need to repair this. So basically, the proposal is to replace in kind with the whatever size pipe is appropriate. You know, things change, development changes, the rainfall modeling information changes. So we see that red arrow, that's pointing at the point of the failure. This is the day, fall of 2024, when I first saw the washout. Good thing I was driving nice and slow and paying attention and not texting while I was driving, otherwise, then from the side, it looked like that. And a couple years later, I was looking inside the pipe, quite a mess, as you can see. And then a couple years later, half of the road is gone. Nice new truck in the background. And the 2-foot diameter pipe, that hole is at least 10 feet deep. But it's quite substantial. We'll get to that one. So what the proposal is on that project is to provide a complete design for the replacement of that pipe, and that includes determining what the right size is to handle a 10-year storm, what's the best material. You saw the concrete pipe, sort of the segments pulled apart. It seems to be a common theme in Creedmoor. The pipes don't stay together, so it may be better to use one long piece of the plastic pipe, so it won't have any joints to pull apart. Determine the proper elevation and slope for the pipe, the length, and then also do some geotechnical investigation, making sure that the material that they're taking out is suitable for backfill, because we don't want it to wash out in the future because the soil just wasn't good. It's also a jurisdictional stream, and Wooten is hoping they won't have to get a permit for it because it'll be categorized as maintenance work. However, they will have to address any environmental implications that may arise from that. So, the entire proposal is in your agenda material. So I just want to give you a few highlights of the services that are being provided and the cost. And again, this is for both projects combined. I'll let you read through that. The only acronym you might not be familiar with is letter C. Student services, that's subsurface utilities engineering, so basically determining where the underground utilities are and how to avoid them. Total lump sum for all that is $140,000, and that is basically from everything inclusive except for the actual construction costs. It includes construction administration and observation. And like I said before, that is Powellville Fund eligible. So do I have any questions about the proposal?
Commissioner Moss?
Not a question, Carl, but a comment. I will tell you that folks at the apartments next door use that as their route when they walk to Food Line. They go that way, cut across the cemetery, up on the sidewalk, and they go to Food Line. So I think this is a welcome project. It will be helpful to them.
Commissioner Gleason?
I have a question, maybe more for Mike. I don't know. Was that ever used as a means of egress for the fire department for the apartments? No.
They can access that building from the parking lot. They were able, at least the determination was made that a truck with a ladder could reach.
Yep.
And the question is, if the main entrance to Holly Creek Apartments is blocked by a fire in a building right up front, there's no way for the fire service to get to the back of the Holly Creek Apartments unless they make room. I thought for some reason there was an egress made in the,
It's not, there's no way. The elevation is very different. It's a big hill. The only access is to the two SEMs that you can see the parking stalls that are set up for those, but it's not for the apartment.
Commissioner Kaczynski?
So can we use stormwater funds for this?
Well, they're PAL bill fund eligible, and we have some PAL bill funds we need to expend.
Okay. Just wanted to check.
Mr. Mayor, I have a motion that we approve the project for task order 1, I should say.
second,
All right, it's been a motion to approve, It's been a motion to authorize city manager to sign task order not to exceed $140,000.350. It's been seconded. All in favor?
aye.
All opposed? Motion passes.
And just an update on the Main Street parking lot. It was advertised briefly 2 weeks. We thought we would get suitable bids in, but turned out we were wrong. So it was re-advertised starting this Monday for a 4-week advertisement, and it was pushed out to a much wider audience. So hopefully in 3.5 weeks, we'll have several bids to choose from.
Thank you.
Thanks, Carl.
Good job.
All right. We have the City of Creedmoor recommendation plat. Mr. Mike?
Good evening again. This one is a follow-up, a long time coming regarding this recombination plat. It was included in your agenda packet. It is a survey provided by Trans Systems, which is a subcontractor of Little, associated with the police department construction. You might notice that the recombination plat, it's an exempt plat, meaning it doesn't have to comply with the subdivision standards, but of course it does, because we are creating a larger parcel. 1.407 acres would be the resultant lot, made up of the recombination of the 7 minor lots that exist now throughout what I'll call new Creedmoor Municipal Complex. The map also does recombine some of the elements of the Elm Street public right-of-way. We had to reclaim some right-of-way there to use on the private property. And then on the Sandiford Street side, we exchanged some public right-of-way and gave back a little bit of private land there. It also implements some site triangles on the corners there to ensure visibility for the turns, and does implement some storm water easements that are also necessary. It relates to Kevin's earlier piece regarding 120 Sandiford Street, in that this will now create a new title, I guess, right, based upon a new tract that is 1.47 acres, and essentially, I won't say erase, because historically those records will always exist, but it does away with any 120 Sandiford and the other minor parcels there. We're creating a new tract. Ordinarily, y'all wouldn't even see this, because it's within my authority as subdivision administrator to sign off on these type of exempt plats, but because we are the owners, we are moving forward ultimately as owners to execute this recombination and the minor right-of-way configuration. Any questions that I can try to answer? My recommendation is to proceed and authorize the recombination plat for signature by both the mayor and me as the subdivision administrator.
Commissioner Kaczynski?
So Mike, you said, we gave private land back. To who?
To us. We moved the
okay.
line.
All right,
We moved the line, right, the subdivision, the right-of-way boundary moved.
Okay.
In some cases, it went from private to the public right-of-way, and in other cases, the reverse.
Okay, thank you.
We have any more discussion? All right.
Motion to authorize proceeding with the recombination as presented.
Second.
All right, it's been a motion and seconded to authorize the proceeding with recombination. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you, Mr. Mike. All right, that does with new business. Discussion items, 11A, absence for Mayor Downey.
Again, it's not gonna be my night in the local paper. My concern is, and how do I not mean it I don't know how I mean it. I was elected commissioner, appointed first for 2 years, elected for 4. Almost died a couple times, but I made it to all but one meeting. My wife and I traveled because we're kind of like trying to be retired. And we make sure that our travel plans are always made in the last week of the month because there's no CIGWASA meetings, no COG meetings, no city meetings, and other meetings. And I just find that a little bit disturbing, and again, you could have planned what you're doing to miss this meeting last year and paid for it over 2 years. I have no idea, but it just makes me a little bit concerned for the citizens who are paying your salary when you have little to nothing to do, and you missed 4 meetings and you ask for another one. And again, like I said, you could have planned this vacation 2 years ago. But again, I just wanted to say that everybody on this board, I'm sure, was out of their way to be here. And nobody's missed a lot of meetings, so there's nothing we can do. All you had to do, although I don't know now that we changed the rules. I don't know, was that involved in the motion tonight? That the mayor now has to ask? No. So you don't have to ask, you get it automatically, there's no, but I just felt that initially I thought you did have to ask. That's why I was in the agenda. But I just want to say that if I were you, it would bother me if I missed 4 meetings and then 2 meetings later I'm gonna ask for a meeting off. And that can be the end of discussion. I don't need any.
Thank you. But to answer back, this has been our family vacation week for the last 10 years, and it's set in stone. Next year, I probably can, but before I got elected, this date was already set. So I hate that I have to miss it. If I could be here, I would. But it's something that was set last year, and
thank you for your answer.
yes, sir. All right, city manager report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Last Friday, May the 29th, was Public Works Director Steve Edwards' last day of the city of Creedmoor. He served the city exceptionally well for over 7 years. He was both grateful and very happy to be able to return to his hometown and community in Swansboro, where he is their Public Works Director now. He started work yesterday morning at 6:30 in the morning and called and let me know everything was going well, and he said he would stay in touch. He did ask me to place these yellow construction helmets out, stress balls, if you will. He asked me to give each one of y'all that didn't make the Public Works luncheon, to give you one of those, and we have extras if you need one for each hand. On Monday, June the 1st, Public Works Supervisor Philip Howell was promoted to the interim Public Works Director. Until the permanent replacement can be found, that position is out open, and we're starting to receive applications on that. Public Works recently, you may have noticed this, they recently replaced 175 daylilies that either died or were failing at the center island. There's a lot of pavement, there's a lot of heat, it's in the center, we have to keep it watered, but they replaced those and they have a commitment to keep them watered, and they're looking great. Following the board's May 19th meeting, the revised Hometown Hero banner flyer was updated and posted on the city's website. And you may have seen, if you read through Parks and Rec Director's reports, but I am so proud of the work that she has done, I want to mention this as well. Friday, May the 22nd, 2025, Scott Payne, a recreation consultant with NC State University, conducted a pre-award inspection at the community center as part of our grant submittal in the children's playground. Now, last year, I know you recall, Chastity, along with Cartar, made this application. This year, Chastity made it alone. So, Professor Payne is one of the three members on the panel of the overall three-panel review board who participates in the review, ranking, recommendation, and awarding of grant submittals. The committee will be meeting in August, and we should know, hopefully shortly thereafter, how we fared in this process again this year. And the last item I have to report on is the City Hall usage with solar savings. You have a spreadsheet in your package. I was surprised and delighted that the savings were as much as they ended up showing. So we've tracked utilities for the last almost 2 years now. And I've highlighted the areas in 25. We're comparing the first 4 months of 25 with the first 4 months of 26. So January, we had a 15% savings showing up, 18% savings in February, 22 in March, and 28 in April. Wow. As soon as we get our bill for May, I'll know what that is. But in a 4-month period, we have reduced the power bill with solar panels by 10,614 kilowatt hours for a savings of $804. Now, that's 4 months. If we have the same for the next 2 cycles, it'll be almost $2,500 in savings in solar panels. So, anyway, we're tracking that to see what the savings are, and we'll keep you posted on that. So, subject to any questions, that's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. City Manager. Any questions?
I think we could, thanks for that report.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mayor.
City Manager.
Commissioner Kaczynski, for pushing.
Yep.
Thank you, Commissioner Bush. Now we need to do the police department.
All right, Seguasa report.
If I may, Madam Vice Chair.
Go for it.
Okay. I have requested the Seguasa Executive Director report to the board next week regarding the upcoming water quality testing schedule. Specifically, I asked for confirmation of plans to test the water output from the plant for PFAS, iron, manganese, and other chemicals. The testing is tentatively scheduled for mid to late August, approximately 90 days following the completion of the installation of the 5 new water filter meters. I communicated this request through Crystal, our board secretary, and information officer. While I have not heard directly from Mr. Schroeder due to his illness, I anticipate this update will be presented at our meeting on next Tuesday. At our last Seguasa meeting, we passed the budget for fiscal 2026-2027 with no rate increase. This afternoon, we received information that due to a legislative correction, Seguasa will receive an additional $3 million. We will also receive and been offered an additional $500,000 for emerging contaminants. It's called the principal forgiveness funding. In total, that's $3.5 million. The executive director is going to recommend that we use that for PFAS mitigation. And that's all I have for Seguasa report, sir.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Commissioner reports, starting to my left. Commissioner Gleason. Commissioner Moore.
Thank you, sir. Just a few things, actually more than a couple, but just a few things. Earlier this evening, Molly Mixon spoke under public comment about the PFAS presentation. And Dominique, I'm going to butcher your last name, so go ahead and say it for me. Beaudry. Okay. This is Dominique Beaudry, who did the PFAS presentation that Molly mentioned earlier. And what I would very much like to ask, request, I'm not sure what the right word is to invite Ms. Beaudry to do her presentation before this board. I think you would find it, number one, educational. I think you will find it helpful as we continue to have our dialogue about water quality. And last but not least, I think it's something that we can offer to our citizens in terms of education and thinking about how we can continue to go about helping safeguard them as individuals. So I would like to, I don't know what the appropriate protocol here is, Kevin or Mike, but how do I go about requesting a presentation from Ms. Beaudry?
Is there work session?
I did.
Work session.
Is that okay?
You got it.
I'm trying not to.
Before, you got it.
Okay, so,
2 weeks.
could I leave it, when?
All right, next work session.
I was just gonna leave it to the city manager to coordinate
Here we go.
with Ms. Beaudry to schedule that, so, okay, all right, that's much easier than I anticipated. I think that's why I was struggling a little bit there. Just on a related note, well, two things. Just on a related note, I would like to ask our Sigwasa, representatives to make that same suggestion to Sigwasa
Okay.
about this presentation.
Okay.
You've already got, what, a little over $3 million now to work on PFAS?
Mm-hmm.
I think this might be something else you can put in the tool belt to help you. On that note, before I get off the Sigwasa, I thought Commissioner Kaczynski was going to talk, so that's why I hesitated. From our Sigwasa reps, could I also make one other inquiry or make an ask? Has Sigwasa received any data center inquiries? Maybe, you may not have the answer tonight, but if that's a
I don't know.
question that you could ask them, the answer is no?
No, I'm the vice chair. We have not had
You've not,
any.
okay.
I did ask that question.
Cool, okay, that's all I need. Okay, very good. Thank you so much for that. Ryan Brown has left this evening, but I have continued to gather research on the flock cameras. This was another comment from public comment this evening that Ryan talked about. And in speaking with Chief Wheelis, along with the city manager, and then, again, this is just based on my research, others can do their own research, but the preliminary findings seem to indicate that Creedmoor does not have the functionality that Ryan's is talking about. And the other thing that I find particularly helpful with our current configuration of flock cameras is very simple. It is helping us solve crimes.
That's right.
And so that's why I'm sorry he left. I would have said this if he were here, but I felt like it was important to go ahead and get that out. And then last but not least, I'm not making any not adding any color to this commentary, but as we all know, our Board of Elections is considering moving our early voting site. The one observation that I would make, I know everybody's focused on 2026, but I think we're going to have some elections here in 2027 that affect this board, and that site in particular at the library is centrally located between Butner, Stem, and Creedmoor, and I think it is very advantageous for us to hopefully maintain that. I'm sure comments will be made at their upcoming meeting. I think it's on June 16th. But I did just want to say that out loud, that I don't support the relocation of that particular early voting site. That's all I have, sir.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Moss. Commissioner White?
I attended a meeting here at City Hall this past month with our finance team, city manager, and Commissioner Gleason in the fire department to look at and discuss what options are available for funding renovations and replacement of our fire station in the city. Those talks are ongoing, and hopefully we'll have a positive outcome in the future. And congratulations to all of our graduates all over Granville County that have now moved on to the adult stage in life and will go out there in the world and continue their education or find something that suits them for the work. And all of us that have children that are moving along in the different grade levels, exactly.
Yeah. Grandchildren, yeah.
Thank you, Mr. White. Let me get Commissioner Kaczynski.
So, it's been a real busy month. It's been really, really, really busy with all the school stuff and everything else. I attended Leadership Day at Wilton Elementary and met with the children who decorated litter garbage cans. And, I attended City Vision in Raleigh for 3 days, met with many local leaders. And we talked about many issues that we are facing and a lot of them are also facing. I attended the spring concert for South Grenville High School, which was absolutely wonderful. Combining those two high schools, the chorus is very, very talented, lots and lots of talent. It's bigger, very talented children. I attended a UNERVA meeting, attended a public works celebration where I said goodbye to my dear friend Steve Edwards, who served the city very well for 7 years unselfishly. And I have 3 more of these in my car. I think somebody's trying to tell me something. I attended the annual Memorial Day celebration in Butner with Commissioner Gleason. I was disappointed that there were no other representatives from the city there. Then that same day I attended a private memorial service at the gravesite of Daniel O'Leary, who was a local boy who was killed in Afghanistan. I'm disappointed about you going to miss the meeting on the 16th of June also, Mr. Downey. Normally what Mayor Wheeler would do was notify us a month in advance and say, can we move this meeting or cancel this meeting? And we would work with him, and I'm hoping that that's the way it will do going forward. Now that you know how this stuff gets done. And I was also thought about the fact that June 16th is your next court date. And I'm disappointed you won't be there for that because the city of Creedmoor will continue to be dealing with the embarrassment for a lot longer. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Kaczynski. Commissioner Ross?
Yes, sir, thank you. And this is what I get for not keeping my technology up here in front of me. Very quickly, there are 3 things I did want to mention. Commissioner Kaczynski got this started, but I did want to give you an update on the request for the traffic signal at Hillsborough and 15. We got an email from Ashley Lowry with them, and they are still pursuing funding through the high impact, low cost funding mechanism. Apparently, we're one of 7 projects across the division that is being considered for this funding source. So good news is they're still working. So unless you got something new.
Well, the only other thing we could do is do a LAP grant, apply for a LAP grant to get it done faster.
Yeah.
That's the only other thing going on. But didn't she say the funding for this year is done? They're not gonna be able to resubmit it next year.
That is correct. She said next fiscal year, but that begins in July. So we're not far away.
I wasn't sure if it was fiscal or calendar.
Yeah. And then, just a reminder, you should have gotten that email. The North Falls Lake Area Study is having, I think it's its final meeting on June 16th at 3 p.m. at the Expo Center. So, just keep that in mind. And I think they said so that they don't have quorum issues, if we're going to have more than 3 people there, or more than 2 people there, we need to coordinate so that we don't have to, advertise that meeting. And then last but not least, I can't believe I didn't talk about this. This past Sunday, I had probably the best experience I've had in my 30-year experience as an elected official. I served as awards presenter at the North Carolina Special Olympics. I went to the swimming competition at the Triangle Aquatic Center in Cary. And to see those kids enjoy their victories, just swimming, just having a great time. They did it very nicely. In fact, a young lady, Nicola Elwood, she lives here in Creedmoor for the state. She heads this up for the state. And they did it up really nice. They had the Olympic background. They had the podium, bronze, gold, bronze, and silver. I got to have it backwards. At any rate, they had that all set up. They had the Olympic music playing in the background. It was completely awesome, and that is one of the best experiences I've ever had, and I hope to get to do it again next year. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner Moss. Mayor Pro Tem Wilkins?
I just have one thing. On Thursday evening, I attended the graduation ceremony at South Granville High School. That's all I have, sir.
All right. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Mayor's report. I have two things to report on this afternoon. I will be working with Mr. Jermaine Jackson, in the Taking the Communities Healthy Living Walk that will take place on June 20th, 2026 from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Creedmoor Parks and Recreation Service. And Mr. Rich Donahue, I didn't know who it was, but Mr. Rich Donahue called me today while I was at work, and I usually don't accept calls I don't know, and I didn't know him, but I accepted the call. And he said, Antoine, he said, can I speak to the mayor? I said, this is him. He said, my name is Rich Donahue. You might not know me. He said, but we used to own an art gallery that used to be in Creedmoor. And I said, can you tell me where the art gallery was? I said, I'm born and raised here. I said, but I don't remember an art gallery being here. He said, I think City Hall's taking over where the art gallery was. So correct me if I'm wrong. Was the art gallery like around this area?
Main Street.
It was on Main Street. Okay. Well, anyway, needless to say, the City Hall painting that I think is in the front of City Hall, he was in his garage and he stumbled upon the original print that his wife did. He stumbled upon the original print, and he called me today and he said he wants to present that to the city of Creedmoor, the original, because the other one is a numbered copy. But he found the original copy, and he wants his wife to be recognized by the city of Creedmoor, and he wants to donate that painting to the city of Creedmoor. So I thought that was really, really, really cool. So, yeah, so I think we can.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
Bob, Mayor Wheeler probably can correct me, but I believe the art gallery was where Sunnyside Coffee Shop is right now.
Yeah, that's where he was.
Yeah.
And to point this out too, the picture of Jesus and the candle down here at the church, she did that today.
Okay. That's amazing. So I think we're if we get with the city manager and the commissioners, I think we should have that presentation probably at our July meeting. If that's okay, I'll get with you all.
Reach back out and let me know when they're good to go. We'll put them on the calendar.
Yes, sir. All right, and that concludes my report.
Make a motion to go closed session. I'd like to make a motion to go into closed session.
Second's been a motion to go into closed session. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
5-minute bio break.
5-minute break. Thank you all for being here tonight.
Yeah, exactly. Good Lord. Thank you, sir. Oh, yeah.
I haven't got a set for it yet, but I've done a set for
He's a retired cop who also came in Florida. Nobody can feel for him more than I feel for him, but I also
about that. We got closed session anyway. Go ahead home so you can duck the cup. You good? All right, love you, man. What? No, you'll forget. You'll forget.
I know. The sad part is that for you as well, it ain't just going to go away.
it's gonna be months. I mean, I didn't really care for Georgiana bringing up that may be a court date. I don't know whether it's a court date or when it's a court date. But I realized court dates could be moved months. And Alma said the other day, when we're talking about budget, you could save the city 40, 50 grand. But again, I can't make you do it. I'm not gonna run at 27. If you're still here at 27, I'll be the first one to shake your hand and congratulate you. And because I got no idea how you did it, but you would have to do it that long. I mean, you would have to.
When I first got sober, and I put those 9 years together, I stuck with the promises. And the promises came true in my life, and things happened in my life that I didn't know how they would happen. But I put my faith in the higher power, and
I mean, I certainly have a higher power. And I believe and probably said I'm putting myself in. But the bottom line is I had put myself in the hands of two wonderful guys. One of who died on 9/11. Two of my sponsors who dragged me around for 2 or 3 years. And at the end of 3 years, I was done. I mean, I was done with it. Because you can go to any meetings and listen to some people who understand the problem, other people want to blame people, other people want to make excuses for themselves, and they'll come and go. And so the only thing we got time is your only proof. So, and again, it bothers me that the city has to go through this with you. But, like I said, you're your own boss. I can't make you do anything.
I've never give up on anything. Never quit. My dad used to always make me play sports until it was over.
Well, I quit on my first wife.
I ain't quit on her either.
But if it wasn't for drinking, that never would have happened.
My wife took a stay with me. She said, because she saw something in me.
And my next wife, at the end of 1 year, said, this shit ain't gonna go no more. You start doing that too. 35, almost 36 years ago. Well, I gotta pee.
I think I can hold mine. Hopefully we won't be here for about 15 minutes.